Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com.
So we were discussing that auditing and logging is the biggest uh, thing which you need to manage all the time. Okay, I believe that all of you know about a tool called as ELK, Elastic Logstash, and Kibana. Okay, that tool which we can use in order to that particular stack which we normally use for log analysis, capturing the log, putting the log into the database, and putting it on a dashboard. There are multiple logging tools are available. Log analysis tool is completely different. They will read the log and based on that inputs, they will give you the analysis what exactly happening on that particular device. So that could be multiple approach which we can go ahead with. Okay. The next part is completely a corporate thing, which is a non-technical things which we are going to discuss. That is called as security policy. Now, security policies are nothing but a documentation has to be formulated or the document has to be there in their organization in order to maintain all the strict rules and regulations regarding the whenever you join any organization, your HR will send you set of documentation. In that particular documentation, you might be able to see some documentations are related with security policy. Okay, what things you can do, what things you cannot do, everything would be mentioned in that particular security policy. Now, this documentation is very, very important if your company is a ISO certified company, correct? Now, this documentation is also necessary for your clients as well, because whenever Capgemini get the project, they should also mention that we are following, our employees are following all the strict security policies which we are maintaining in our organization, correct? So understand these policies are nothing but a documentation where it is clearly mentioned what are the things which we are supposed to do and what are the things we are not supposed to do, correct? So how to handle the system, how to manage your physical access, how we can come to what are the security concern if you are handling the sensitive data, correct? So all the things would be available. So here there are some examples they are giving what are the type of policy could be available. You can say acceptable use policy, audit policy, extranet policy. Now I know that what is an extranet. Extranet is allowing third person to access your organization network, am I right? So you should have such policies set, the rules and regulations set, that how we can do that, what are the accesses we should provide to them, correct? So policy is actually a documentation, a standard documentation which we are following, correct? You will see password policy. Now this is very important policy for our IT based companies actually. Now this policy will help you to understand and make sure that your password should be up to the standards. You keep changing the password after each and every interval. You're not supposed to use the password as your first name, last name. Your password should be it's a combination of letters, symbols, numbers, uppercase, lowercase. So there are multiple set of the policies which is regarding the password. Now, why this particular policy is there? Because you should maintain every particular policy. So any kind of incident should not be happened under this particular thing. Wireless standard policy. Now in this wireless standard policy, they will ask you that how you can use any organization wireless network in a secured fashion. You can see multiple websites are blocked. If you are trying to connect your internet connection through your organization network, you won't be able to access multiple websites. You are only restricted to access the website which you are actually useful. Correct? Privilege user agreement. Now here you need to specify the user account or your privileges for that specific account. What privileges can be used, how to use that particular privileges. Correct? So every single activity which you are going to do, everything has to document. Now this is a ISO standard. There is a ISO 21000 certification which is for security auditings. This is one of the clause where we required every single security related aspect should be documented, maintained, and people should use it. Okay, so there is many different type of policy which we can think of. Now I don't want to go deep dive into this particular policy now. This is interesting. Void and NDA. These two are very, very important policies which might become. I would like to talk on this. Now bring your own device. Now this is a very, very strict policy. Now bring your own device means if you would like to take your own personal laptop in your organization and if you would like to use it. Correct? Second thing, your phone. If you would like to use your phone for your official purpose, that means you're using your own device for your official purpose. So there has to be a strict policy, plus some privileges should be given, some restrictions should be given, some filter should be available. Correct? Now what should be done or what should not be done, that should be written in this particular policy. How to use your own devices in the organization. You can see there are some strict policy in some organization that you cannot bring your Android phone inside the office. Now this is the policy. They said you're not supposed to use it. If you have a very simple phone, that's fine, but you cannot use Android phones. Correct? Non-disclosure agreement. Now this is very important. When you work as a partner, vendor, if you're working as a consultant, now you need to sign an NDA with your company. Let's say I would like to work with a Capgemini as a consultant. Okay, so I need to sign an NDA agreement with Capgemini. Capgemini gave me a complete set of NDA, some documentation. It is clearly mentioned that whatever confidential information, whatever property of that information which is available in their company premises, I'm not supposed to share any of that information to any other third party, not even the client information, what setup you are using, what IP addressing you are using. This is called as NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Correct? So any vendors who is dealing with Capgemini, they is supposed to sign this agreement. Any consultant who is coming to your network, accessing your network, doing some activity, he knows each and everything, he need to find and sign this document precisely. This is very, very important. Correct? After that, there are few more interesting policies are there. International export control, correct? And onboard and offboard policies and procedure. These two are very important. Okay, remote access policies, how you can allow the access, remotely access your organization. There is a strict standard which is documented that you have to connect the VPN, you have to type the password, then you will be connected to the VPN connection, and then only you will be able to access. All step-by-step documentation would be given. On this, onboarding and offboarding policies and procedure. Onboarding means whenever you are joining any particular organization, whenever you're joining any particular team in your organization, there has to be a particular strict onboarding policy. Onboarding policy will contain that if the person is coming to join for a particular role, he should check his background. He should check his complete history before he joined that. Whenever he joined that, whatever role which is provided that particular thing, they should provide a proper training before you actually go to the live. They should know the complete organization structure, whatever policy which they have. This is an onboarding policy, that these are the things which has to be managed and maintained by HR. Correct? Respective email address has to be created within this date. Respective computer should be ready. All the things should be configured. This is the onboarding process. Similarly, there is a offboarding. If the person leave your organization, he need to do the proper handover. Knowledge transfer should be there. Correct? He should make sure that he should not copy any vital information from any part of the computer. Correct? So there is a strict document regarding online and offboarding policy and procedure. Believe me, it's company to company. Every company do have their own policies and procedures. It depends upon that your entire HR system works over here. Correct? This is something very interesting. International export controls. Now, if you are managing some kind of devices which you need to export from outside your country, correct? Now, believe me, there are some routers, there are some switches in a layer 3, okay, there which we are not able to get it. We need to order the Cisco, and Cisco will manufacture those devices based on your requirement, and they will ship it to you. Now, any kind of such kind of export activity which you are doing, your company is doing, then there has to be strict rules. You have to order the device with a specific verified vendor only. Before you order the device, you need to take the complete training and education of that particular product. Correct? There are many set of the policies which you can see, but before you export any particular device from any other company or any other outside country company, you have to make sure that there is a specific strict rules and regulations which we need to follow. Now that particular policy will tell you what to do, what to not do when you are asking any particular product to become outside your country. Correct? Now these are all security policy. To be honest, this security policy would be changed company to company. Correct? It's completely dependent what type of policy which is written. Now here you can see some example is given that how to write down the policy. You should have overview, you should have purpose, you should have a scope, then you should have the policy details, then all the rules and regulations. Correct? Policy should have complete versions also. You should maintain the versions of the policies as well. Correct? So that is again the new fact which we are following nowadays. Correct? So policy is a simple documentation. Do not bother about it. Okay, in your exam they will not ask you to any kind of a policy things, but they will ask you that if this particular incident happened, which policy we should actually refer. Correct? So read about each and every policy carefully and just understand these tables is important. That's it. The rest of the things is they will not ask you that identify policy is nothing like that. They will not ask you what is purpose, what is scope. They will not going to ask you anything about it. Correct? So the next thing is policy enforcement. Now this is important. Now people are creating the policies, policies are available, but people are not following it. Correct? This is our main problem in Indian companies. There are many policies are there, correct? But people are not following it. Now here is the biggest challenge for our companies. Policy enforcement. How you can enforce anyone to follow the policy. Correct? Now the very good example is our HR offer letters, contract letters. Correct? These are a very important document where people should read carefully each and every documentation and then only sign it. Now, this will help us to make sure that people should aware about what policy he would be following.
Hey viewers, our Mastery in DevOps engineering program can help you to hone the skills necessary to succeed in high-level DevOps positions. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now and earn certification that show you are keeping pace with today's technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
Sometimes awareness trainings will also help to understand on a very frequent basis that what policy that people should follow and what policy should not follow. So complete awareness has to be there and enforce the people to follow that particular policy. So you need to put a legal terms, rules, regulation, that kind of things are people are doing actually. Now there is a rule that you have to put your identity card with you. That should be always there, and it should be visible to security guard. Now this is a simple policy. People are not following it, but now they are enforcing that without that particular card. It should be inside. It should be visible. Security guard not allow you to get inside, not allow you to go inside the office. This is enforcement. This is what people are trying to do it right now. Correct? Policy enforcement is a process where people should know the policy, proper awareness should be there, and people should follow the policy. This is which we are talking about policy enforcement. Correct? Now now we are talking about security. What is a threat? What is an exploit? What is a vulnerability? What could be the risk factor? Then we talked about some security policies. This policy has to be there, then policy should be followed. Okay, that's fine. One more thing is called as physical security. Okay, physical threat and vulnerability. Now, where are threats? I told you what is a threat. It's an action, and vulnerability is a weakness. Correct? Now there are major two type of physical threats and vulnerability. Correct? Internal and external. Now internal threat and vulnerability means what? Might be someone from your organization. Correct? Within your organization, a person who is sitting inside organization could be your threat and vulnerability. It is called as internal threat. Tomorrow I couldn't get the appraisal. I'm frustrated with my manager, and I'm a network administrator. I know very confidential information. Now because of this pressure, I could do something wrong. Correct? So I could be the internal threat. Companies are more concerned about internal threat, not external threat, because external threat can be avoided. But internal threat is the person who is actually inside the organization. He know each and everything about organization, what controls which we are using, what security which we are using, what kind of architecture is. He knows everything. So the most problematic thing for the organization is internal. External thing is the threat which is coming from outside, the threats which is coming from some kind of problems. Correct? For example, external threat could be someone who's trying to do attack, try to engage something internally. I told you it's very difficult nowadays because we do have a lot of control. Second important point, the external threat could be natural calamities, natural disasters, electric power failure, grid failures. That would be considered as external threat. Correct? Now there is one more category they have introduced called as natural threat. Now whatever natural disaster is happening, that would becomes under the natural threat. Otherwise, it would be the part of external threat before. I told you there was two only major part, internal or external. Correct? Now they have differentiated one more category called as natural. Okay, like earthquake, hurricane, tornado. Because of that, anything happened wrong, that would be a natural. Now there is one more category called as man-made. Now this is the considering as an internal threat. Sometime the operator or the person who is configuring the device won't be able to configure these things properly. It could be happen intentionally, unintentionally. I don't know. He won't be able to configure the thing. The password he could not set properly. I have seen some incident happen in some organization. They have not configured the password properly, and because of that we have a huge revenue impact. Now this is a man-made. The person actually coming from external vendor. That person came here, configured that particular device, and he went out. Now the responsibility of the local administrator needs to check whether he has configured the things properly or not. Unfortunately, even he has not done the thing properly. Correct? And because of that, what exactly happened? Huge revenue loss. And because of that, I cannot consider a particular person right now. I cannot blame that vendor. The vendor say I did my job. But the person who is actually supervisor over there, he's supposed to take the control and check every step and step thing, whether why he's not configured the password properly. Correct? So that responsibility is your company. Now, sometimes this would be considered as a man-made. Sometimes these mistakes are happen because of the vendors. It could be accidental, intentional. It could be handled by internally or external. Sometimes your network administrator itself won't able to set a Cisco device password properly. You're gone. Correct? You're completely gone over there. You don't know. So that is maybe mistake by mistake, which is done by your internal employee. I told you vendor, the vendor comes in, configured everything, went out. His job is done. Correct? He had made a mistake over there. So that is also considered as a man-made. But to be honest, if you talked about a person who is a security guy, he always consider it could be internal, it could be external. That's it. Then it could be a man-made, it could be a considered as a internal or external, or it could be a natural disaster. Okay, it could be an external external threats for you. So these are threats, these are action could impact your revenue, it could impact your service, it could impact your name of the company, any physical situation. Now these things you are actually facing day-to-day life. Okay, remember that. I don't know about the office locations actually, but I know about data centers because I worked in a data center a lot. So I know that the location of the data center is very, very important. It's very, very important. You have to make sure that the location should be properly accessible. All the services should be available over there. It's including your water, electricity, human resource, correct? Your proper waste management, correct? Every single thing we need to make sure that what is the location of the data center, correct? Definitely there are some factor, your AC control is there, your environmental control is there, correct? So there are many factors which we are using in order to make sure that the location of that particular data center has to be secured, easily accessed. Multiple resources should be able to reach there without any hesitation. Now they're talking about fire risk, electrical shielding, physical access. Now definitely, if you look at your company, there are fire extinguisher on located on a specific locations. Now that would be, as per security policy, you have to put that. Your buildings do have a specific dedicated line of water which we can use at the time of fire. There is a location where we will find fire alarms. You can say break the glass and push that button, correct? Electrical shielding, we discuss about in our chapter medias. We do have special type of cablings, whether it's a ethernet, whether it's a normal electrical cabling. You have to make sure that it should be properly shielded, and it should be shielded in a such a way that any given point of a time, any threat is happen like a fire, it should not create huge number of smoke, correct? It should not hamper any other thing. The shield should be something like that. Physical access control, your locks, your uh, the system, you can say biometric system, RFD system, correct? Your monitor cameras, everything has to be up to the mark, correct? So remember, this is a general physical security consideration. This is a simple task which you are getting day to day, correct? Devices, now this is a problem. Your capabilities and servers. Now you can see servers are something which is a very valuable asset for your company. Do you think it is located on the same in the same building where you are sitting? No, it cannot be. I told you that server could be located in some data center, which is a different place from a normal office. You will not be able to easily logged into any data center so easily. It is not technically possible, correct? It's very difficult to get the access of such kind of it is a purpose for company. Company gave you some vital information. You put that information on your laptop, and all of a sudden your laptop is stolen. Now remember, your laptop should have a password. Possibly your particular laptop should contain some secret key. Your data should be encrypted, so it should not be used, or it should not be readable in a simple fashion. It should not be accessible easily, correct? Then another device they're talking about is mobile devices. Now once again, you're not supposed to put any vital information or proprietary information on your mobile devices. I typically not allow any information to be stored on the mobile devices. To be honest, most of the people configure their Outlook on their cell phone. It's very good, no problem about that. But the problem would be if that Outlook which you are using that contains some valuable information and you lost the phone, and laptop doesn't, mobile does not encrypted, there is no security key, correct? Then it is a problematic thing. So remember that these all devices are vulnerable. To be honest with you, your cell phone is the most vulnerable thing. If you put any confidential data, there are many applications. We feel that, oh, this application ask me allow your contacts. You have seen that some application will ask you, this application allow to read your contacts, allow to read your location, allow to read your camera, correct? So this is something which is very interesting. Do not install any such third-party applications, correct? Now communication. Now this is something your service provider, whatever communication channel which you are using, there has to be some security consideration that you, before you choose your telecommunication providers or ISP provider who is actually helping you to get the internet connectivity, your telephone, all the lines, it has to be verified. Whatever devices they are providing you, make sure that all the devices should have all the configuration properly managed and maintained, correct? Because they are the owner of that particular device.
Hey viewers, trying to get into DevSecOps? Enroll for our DevSecOps certified professional programs and earn the certification that shows you are fit for these technical roles and requirements. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
So it should be properly managed and maintained over there, correct? Now this is something physical device they're talking about. To be honest with you, this is very simple. They said use video surveillance, motion detector, asset tracking ads, tamper detection devices, badges, locks, smart cards, key fobs, biometric devices. They all talking about physical security. Everything they talk about physical security. They said you should have proper motion detectors in your organization. You should have a proper video surveillance, that your camera should be properly placed. You should have a proper asset tagging. That means whatever asset which we are having, that asset should be properly managed and maintained, correct? Tamper detection. You should not tamper any computer. You can see your computer, if you are using a desktop computers, those desktop computers do have a proper seal. You are not supposed to remove that particular seal. Of any tampering is happened, it is even easily detectable, correct? So these are some assets. Now they are providing the laptop. They should have a barcode attached to your laptop, so they can track that device quite easily, that this device is issued to this particular person. He's working in this particular department. His employee ID is this. His telephone number is this. So all this tracking has to be done, correct? You need to make sure that every repair purchase which you are going to do, everything has to be asset and it has to be tagged properly. If you do not tag it properly, you won't be able to track your asset. That device would be lost, correct? So these are few additional physical security things which you need to consider it. Okay. Now the next agenda regarding security is called as DLP. This is very important. This is called as data loss prevention. Now data is important for your company. Now data contains some critical confidential information, correct? Now your data should not be lost, that it should not be leaked. Actually, to be honest, it is not lost, it should not be leaked. It is called as a data leak protection. Okay, but people say data loss prevention. So whatever documents your company do have, your client information, client network information, all their passwords, all the critical information which your company do accessing for your data. Now this particular data do have some category. Now we can say data in motion. That means the data is transferring over the Ethernet, internet. That means data is transferring. Data in use means data which is under processing right now. Someone is processing using that particular data. And data at rest means data is idle, means the data which is on our storage devices, the data is on our hard disk, all this type of data which is not processing anywhere, it is like that only. So that particular data would be considered as data at rest. Correct? So remember, data loss is a very biggest problem in our organization. Now check your laptop. Will it be possible to connect your USB or hard drive to your laptop and copy some data on your laptop? Correct? Majority of cases, your USB drives are disabled. Correct? It is not enabled at all. It is disabled. You won't be able to connect it. Now, any given point of time, I do have a client data. I can simply copy paste into my hard drive or pen drive. Correct? But if it is a sensitive data, it would be problematic for me. Even through your mails, you cannot send any attachment which is a .zip file, then .tar file. Any certain extensions are restricted. So whenever you try to send any email, there is a mechanism called as data leak prevention mechanism. He will check what you are sending. If you feel that, if that particular software feel that you are sending some crucial information with the help of this attachment, he will block that email over there. Correct? So none of the data should go outside the company. So there are data which is moving, data at the rest, or data at the processing. Any given point of time, your data should be secured. Nobody should copy the data. Correct? This is what data. Data theft is something which can be done by attacker. That means I told you that most of the hackers or attacker, their main purpose is to find out your data. That's it. They don't want what exactly you're doing. They just want whatever crucial data which is available with you, just copy that data from there, from their system to their local system. This would be the main purpose why attackers is actually doing hacking or attacking. You can see many of the people, you have read this news few months back, that attacker went into the Facebook and he find out most crucial information about their Facebook data. There are many attacks which is available where people is logged into the bank system and retrieve some vital information from the banks. Now what these people are doing actually, they are just extracting the data, because this data is very, very important for the clients, to the vendors. And this is the data where you can do lot of black businesses. You can sell this data to someone else. Correct? You can talk to the company from where you got this data hacked and tell the company that if you can give me the money, I will give your data back. So there are many type of compromisations are happening in case of data theft. Data theft is a very, very important thing for attackers, because attackers normally work for this only. Okay, and our job is to make sure that the data theft should not be happen. Now, social engineering attack. Now, this is very, very important. Okay, now remember that everybody do have social engineering accounts, like a Facebook, like your Instagram is there. Some people do have a Twitter accounts. Okay, whatever you guys you are using in order to do the social social networking website. Now, social engineering is a type of attack which will be undetectable. Correct? The person who want to do the attack, he will come to you, he will make a friendship to you, your contacts would be shared. He will ask you in a such a way that whatever vital information which he required, he will get that information from you. It is undetectable because humans are involved in this attack. This is not a technical attacks at all. Somebody will you meet on a social engineering website, you would befriend. He will ask you about some vital information about your company while talking it. You are giving that information as a friend, correct? Now, this is a type of attacks. Now you can say it's clearly written. It depends on human factor. It's very hard to identify, to be honest with you. So do not share any information to anybody which you don't know. It could be a social engineering attack. Somebody nowadays, majority of the people receive the call. Oh, you required, you got the money. Kindly share your account details along with your PIN and all other things. What type of attack is this? Is a social engineering attack. Some people are very smart. They will cut the phone. They will not provide the information. Some people are able to provide all the information, and the moment they provide it, they would be hacked. So social engineering is a type of attacks where human factors are very important. No technical activity would be happen. It is a completely emotion based attacks. It's very hard to detect that who is talking truth in this particular cases. So technically speaking, you are not supposed to share any kind of your personal company's critical information over the social medias. You're not supposed to discuss it on the phone, correct? You're not supposed to share that information to any third party person. This would be considered as a social engineering attack. This is very, very effective, very, very powerful attack which we can use it, correct? Many of the action till date which has happened, social engineering attack is one of the undetectable attacks which we have seen. Normally you might be able to see a lot of mails are coming that you have won the lottery ticket or something, and you got you need to provide account details, send some money on this account. Now this is a kind of social email socialing, that is a mass mailing attacks are available, correct? This is something very, very precisely happening through Nigeria, Ghana, or South African continent. You can check your such emails, check the header of the emails. Most of the origin of this country would be like that. They are very popular in this particular type of techniques. So be careful with this type of attacks as well. Now this is social engineering method, right? Spoofing, impersonation, phishing, voice phishing, whaling, correct? These are the different type of social engineering attack which is available, correct? So don't worry about any kind of this type of attacks. We are not going to deep dive into it, but understand this is very important. You are not supposed to provide any information to anyone. You just need to, well, you are not supposed to put your personal information to any third party website as well. People are doing that in order to download the games, in order to download some official software like a torrent website somewhere. Don't do that, correct? Sometime it could be a phishing. You can see a type of email based social attack. This is phishing. People are sending your mail that you got a prize. People are sending the mail. This is something, a bank website. It looks like your bank website, but be careful that it not be a bank website. Bank will not going to ask you to do any transaction through emails. They will only notify the email about their services, because as per the rule, they are not supposed to do that. This is malware attacks now. Now malware is very, very dangerous. Now, this is very interesting. Now, this is a final, you can say final type of attack which people can think of. Let's say that I want to get the access of your Capgemini network. I'm sitting outside, I'm sitting in Pune, and I want to hack Capgemini Bangalore office. Will it be possible? Technically, no. I'm sitting somewhere else. You are sitting somewhere else. How could I do that? People won't be able to understand how it is possible. The person who is sitting inside the Bangalore office, is it possible? Yes, because he's the part of your network, so he would be able to easily can do it because he's the internal threat. But I am external threat because I don't know how I can get in. That time malware attack actually comes into the picture. Malware is nothing but malicious code, a virus, Trojan, worm designed to get unauthorized access. Interesting. I don't know anything about Capgemini. What I will do, I will start sending an email, and in that email, I will attach some malware. A malware, I told you, it's a malicious attack. It could be a worm, it could be a Trojan, it could be a rootkit.
Hey viewers, are you looking for formal training on SRE practices? Take our SRE program. This course will teach you how to successfully implement site reliability engineering in the modern day 24/7 services. Kickstart your SRE training today. Contact info is mentioned in the video sidebars and in the description box. Book your seats for the upcoming batches now.
It could be any program who can give me your computer access. The program is written in such a way that he should give me the access. I just want that program to be executed on your machine because I don't know anything about you. How could I reach you? So malware will help me to reach you. What I will do, I will start sending bulk of mail to Capgemini with variety of users, including a very good advertisement. And in that advertisement, I do have a malware attached. I'm just waiting for a person, the person who clicked on that, and that malware get installed on your machine. The moment it got installed and that particular person is online, I got unauthorized access of his laptop. Once I got unauthorized access of his laptop, I would be the part of your Capgemini network now because I got access of that client from where I can start my further attack. Correct? So malware is too dangerous, to be honest with you. In order to gain the access, in order to stop your entire service. Correct? Now these are the type of malwares. You have very, very famous viruses which we have. Correct? Viruses is something which is a simple code which you can attach himself or attach to others and they can spread it. Correct? So these are the type of viruses, worms. Correct? These are the type of malware attacks which we are getting. You can see I just gave you the example that many people are going to download some cracks, download some unauthorized software, downloading movies. Correct? Sometime you will be able to get a lot of pop-up and somebody asking you, no, click on run, and you're closing it. Okay, so sometime in that particular activity, this is called as Trojan. Now there is one more good thing is coming into the market that is called as adware. Like malware, there is a concept called as adware. They are populating your computer with different type of ad. There is a concept called as logic bombs. Correct? You can see spyware, logic bombs, adware. These are all type of malware which you are using. Spyware is very, very important. Okay, be careful with the spywares. Spyware is nothing but a typical software which might be installed on your computer without your information. Whatever you are typing, whatever keys which you are typing, whatever data which is available on your computer, he will capture it and send it to the hacker to whom it is made from. Correct? So such kind of spyware is also available. Logic bombs are very, very interesting. If I set some logic and if I target some specific machine, he will make sure that on a specific time, on specific date, that particular action to be happen. This is called as trigger based logic. I said on Sunday, on this particular time, collect all the data. Correct? Collect all the data, format your computer and come out. Correct? Logic bomb can do that. It's a trigger based action. On that particular data, if you download anything, he will capture the data, he will send the data, and he will make sure that he should be able to format your data as well. So you can imagine where you are not getting direct control, we will try to get indirect control with the help of the concept called as malware. Believe me, there is a specific job role which is called as malware designers. Okay, malware programmer who can design the malware and who can actually create a program called as malware. Correct? So understand, this is very, very interesting. Now you can see adware is another thing which will give you the lot of advertisement. If you are moving to some website, you are getting a lot of website advertisements are popping up on your screen. That is nothing but an adware attack actually. Now people are actually paying for adware attack. To be honest with you, people are collecting a lot of money from this because this is a very good business nowadays. Correct? Now next thing is rootkit. Okay, botnet and ransomware. Now ransomware, everybody know what kind of attack it was. Correct? Now botnet, this is also very familiar to all of you guys. Now we do have bots. Okay, bot is nothing but it's a software robots. Whatever they ask you, they will actually give you the answer. Correct? Now, some of the botnets are available. There are some websites where you can purchase a bot and you can put that particular bot to your website. Somebody logged into that website, that bot will automatically pop up. Bot will ask you certain questions. He will ask you your name, your email address, correct? And he will ask you, okay, tell me your query. But remember that bot is very special. Behind the scene, while you are answering that particular question, he was collecting all the information about your computer. Correct? So this is a bot attacks. So be careful whenever you are answering any questions to that. Some bots are so much intelligent, they capture the information and they said, okay, what is the interest? Your interest is purchasing the flat. For example, they will capture that information and send it to that particular person who is a dealer in flat. It is so much intelligence right now available in a software robots. Correct? Now, another rootkit. Now, this is very, very interesting things. Now, rootkit are such a software who can take a control on your device. It could be a device which could be a command line control. But remember that rootkits are something which is undetectable by your antivirus software or anti-malware software. You can see now your antivirus company know what is the signature of your spyware, what is the signature of your adware, logic bombs. But rootkit is the only one which is completely undetectable for them because it's a low level program. If they couldn't find out the signature, it is possible that whether you are install any antivirus software on your computer, still I am able to get the access of your computer without any problem. correct? So these are type of viruses which we are using where I am actually do not have any direct access of your network. Now compromise system. Now compromise system means where your malware is attacked or it is controlled by some other activity or other person or a hacker. That would be considered as compromise system. Correct? Now, compromise system is one of the dangerous things because if your system is compromised means your system is actually managed and controlled by some other person. Now, that system could be compromised because of the malware. It could be because of unauthorized access which is given to you. Correct? Any given point of a time, it would be said compromise system. Correct? After this, there is a one more type of attacks is available. Is called as password attacks. Correct. Now, password attacks is very interesting for the people who is interested in social engineering websites. Facebook password, Instagram password, your email password, Twitter password. Now, these attacks, these type of attacks, much more reliable at the first level attacks, which we can use it. Correct? Now, this is something in order to crack your password. This is called as password attacks. Now, there are many type of attacks are available called as rainbow attack, dictionary password attack. Correct? Now, based on your requirement, you choose an appropriate attack and you can follow that. Correct? Please do not focus on this particular type of attack. Nowadays, our systems are very smart. If any password attacks come to them, they will easily identify and they will stop your attack immediately. In early days, these attack would be much more efficient way it was working, but nowadays it is not working the way it's supposed to. Correct? Now, what are the type of password attacks is available? Guessing attack. Now, this is the simplest and very effective method. Now, it's a human logic that we used to put our first name plus our birthdays, okay, that kind of a password actually. So people are actually guessing your password and make sure that you should be able to get inside his email account or of his account by guessing it. So people are very good in this actually. They keep trying your first name, last name, birthday combinations. They do have a software where they can put all the information and that software can give them a complete guess, complete set of password which they can try it. Correct? Second type of attack, I told you the dictionary based attack. Correct? This is what we can take automatic guessing. Now here what we can use here, we do have a specific set of password. Almost 20 or 30 million different passwords are available. With the help of dictionary and brute force attack, we will try each and every single password to that account. Whatever pre-configured passwords are there. Correct? Now this is very commonly used. Correct? Now I told you these attacks is no more effective nowadays because our systems are very much powerful now to identify these attacks. Correct? So we have to either go for a guessing attack because that is the most appropriate one, or else you need to create a customized attack in order to crack the password. Correct? Now guessing, stealing, dictionary. Now this is what we have explained. Okay, now packet and protocol abuse. Now this is one more interesting thing actually. This is called as IP snooping attacks or packet and protocol abuse. Now here we are actually creating a customized data packet. Okay. For example, I will give you a simple idea what could be the protocol abuse or how we can use this particular thing. Let me see, is there any diagram they are given? Okay, this is what the diagram is given. Okay, now look at here. Rather drawing it, it is already there. Now what is the IP snooping and protocol snooping attack? Now you can see whenever a particular source is this, okay, and this is my destination where I would like to reach. What source is generated? Source is generated, for example, some FTP traffic, okay, which is a file transfer protocol. Now source is generated that particular traffic. Now I told you, whenever any particular traffic is generated, what that particular traffic contain? The source IP address and destination IP address, source MAC address and destination MAC address. Correct? Now what exactly happened? Now this particular packet is traveling over the network. And let's say there is a hacker sitting in between this. This hacker will capture this particular packet, and whatever source IP address, this is my real source IP address, he will replace this IP address with his IP address and forward that packet to the destination server. Now when it reaches to the destination, what destination will come to know that, okay, this is my source where this request come from. I need to respond it back, but is it the real source? No, actually real source was this, but this guy modified this source address. People ask me, is it really possible to modify the packet? Yes, it is possible. Right now he said FTP request, I can replace it with HTTP request. I can do that.
Thanks for watching. Want to study further? Join our training programs today.